Well, here we go. Little bit of a shakedown drive. Well, I still got the choke on. You know, it's close to rush hour, so there's not going to be a whole lot of opportunities to do anything. Well, I got to get my... I was going to adjust the clutch on this thing, and I forgot. Oh, dang it, I haven't tightened the steering wheel yet either. Oh, God. Okay. This isn't going to tell me a whole lot. Sounds like I didn't get the rear end set up right. It's got a little bit of noise on deacceleration. There when I'm doing about, 40 miles an hour or so. Speedometer seems about right. 2,000 RPM, which I am guaranteeing to be accurate, and 40 miles an hour. That is exactly what my spreadsheet said it would be. Brakes are feeling better already. Just use them a few times here. The drums in the back have to seat in too, so. test is coming up here. There's a road up here with speed bumps on it. What I'm going to want to do is, just as I'm going to hit it, I think I'm just going to real lightly let go of the wheel here, and we'll see if there's any left or right pull to the wheel when we go over. Here we go. So we'll get a, well, that was left. Let's do left again. Yeah, there's just a little bit. See it twisting there? Let's hit the right side now. Hardly anything on the right side. Okay, let's hit this one really good here without all the side motion. Here we go. Wow. See that one? Steering wheel didn't move at all. There, it didn't move at all. Doesn't do anything that way. Interesting. Gonna miss out on the very last Cars and Coffee at Beaches. Was a, you know, sponsored by the Mustang Club, but you know, the car was up in the air and twas not done. And we're home. Yeah, there's quite a bit of free play there. I'm gonna take that out of there. Okay. Well, hope you enjoyed this. I did. Just back from my road test, and it's doing pretty good. I think it's good enough to drive over to my brother's house as soon as I adjust the clutch. Well, here we go. Driving over to my brother's house in Central Oregon. So every now and then I'll get out the camera and show you what's going on. But other than that, I'm going to be driving. Okay. I'm, I don't know, 30 miles out of town and there's still a ton of traffic. Oh boy. You got to see this. This is low beams. There's the driving lights. Low beams, driving lights. Yeah, it's like night and day. Hi. Welcome to Don's Manufactory. Well, I'm home. I guess now's the time to recap the trip. Let's see. What are we all waiting for? Well, I know what I was waiting for. I wanted to see how this car handled. And I have to say, the drive over to my brother's house and back was... I won't call it hair-raising, but it was challenging. The car is very ill-mannered. It was worse than any prior handling with stock suspension, even when the parts were worn out. How's that? Got to break in right here. I was a little long-winded and tired when I was talking, sitting in the car when I first got home. So here we go. I made myself a little list, and I'll try to get through this. Oops. I'll try to get through this without it taking half an hour. Okay. About the trip. Let's start with the good. No rattles. I found that really cool. Nothing going down the road. Of course, I didn't have anything in the glove box, and there was no screws or anything in my ashtray like there usually was rattling away. The door locks, I had put these little rubber grommets in place of the plastic escutcheon or bezel or whatever you want to call it there at the door lock. rod at the top of the door, and it makes those door locks absolutely silent. So I'm just leaving it that way. So no rattles at all, nowhere. Not in the doors, not underneath, not in the trunk, nothing. Wow, loved that. Okay, next up, the motor ran great. It's been sitting around for 2.5 years, maybe even longer. And it just purred the whole trip. I got, let's see, what did I log? About 19 3/4, almost 20 miles to the gallon. The 350 gears. Actually, they seem about right. I lost a little mileage. I was getting 22, 23 with the 3.0s. But those 3.5 gears, the motor's not spinning up that high. And so decent gas mileage, and the sporty drivable part down there in the lower gears is a lot of fun. Okay. The chassis is really, I don't know what to call it, tight, stiff. That loosey-goosey feel that Mustangs have, boy, nothing in this car. The whole car moved as a unit, going over bumps and everything, just like a new modern car. Wow, really cool. Driving lights. Now, you saw in the video, the lights really reach out there. And after I got to my brother's house, you saw that they were a little uneven and not aimed exactly right. I mean, it was plenty good for the drive over. But we lined it up on the airport runway over there, and I adjusted them just right. I got the driving lights where I was splitting the horizon right across the middle of the driving lights. Lights up the surface of the road way out there, and the top part is up in the trees as I was going through the mountains. The only downside to that is it makes the fog lights a little low. I've never driven it in the fog yet, so I don't know how low it really is, because the top edge of the fog lights still kind of gets lost out there somewhere, because they don't reach out very far. So I don't know where that line is. But for lighting up the actual surface of the street, it only goes as far as the low beam headlights. But that may be plenty. It may be okay. I don't know. Having not driven it in the fog yet, I can't tell you. Another thing that was really great, everything works. Everything in the electrical, the heater controls, turn signals, canceling, shifting, all that stuff works great. The doors, the latches, the doors aren't rattling. That's cool. But, all of that stuff works. The whole car works great. Let's get to the bad. What didn't work? Okay, first off, the car handles it's really ill-mannered on the road. Tends to wander all the time. And I took care of that by adjusting the steering box. And basically, I just, undo the lock nut, put a screwdriver into the slot of the adjusting screw, and then I just wiggle the steering wheel with light pressure on the screw, and you can feel the sector going tink, 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 tink inside of there, and you can feel it pushing up and down on the screw, and then you just adjust it, doing that little wiggle until you can't feel the bunk, 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 bunk anymore, and that means zero tolerance. So there's no preload there. And I could adjust it just a hair tighter, but I didn't want to. So I just locked it down there. That actually cured the wandering problem. But other things that it does. I'm going at speed, so 65 miles an hour, and I hit a hoop-de-doo in the road. I hit the hoop-de-doo, the suspension compresses, everything's fine. I go over the top of the hoop-de-doo, and the suspension extends, and it veers left slightly. Now, I think that could be related to the toe curves. I've got a little more toe change on the left side than the right, and so it's steering a little left. That would sort of indicate that there's a toe out indication on extension. I'm not sure of that. The other thing that it does is when you throw it into a corner, it took a lot of steering force to throw it into the corner. I kind of expect that with 4 degrees of caster. However, once the car takes a set in the corner, now the steering, it takes just as much force to straighten it. It's not like the caster is working for me for wanting the car to go straight. I have to physically force the wheel to go back straight. And I don't know if that's a function of negative camber curve and the side loads on the tires, or if it's the caster being uneven. I'm not sure what that is, but that has definitely got to go away, especially on right turns. It was tough. When I got into the twisties up in the mountains, it became a real challenge. And not as bad to the left as it is to the right. I got an appointment to get the front end aligned, so I just plan on letting the guy set it up, tell me where the front end is at, and from that information and this information about how it drives, I'll come up with where I want the front end set up for the next road test. Okay. What's the next thing that didn't work? Well, the True Track. The carrier groinks and it chatters and it hates right-hand corners. It acts like a spool going around a right-hand corner. Down around a left-hand corner, it may groink a bit, but around a right-hand corner, it just wants to spin the right wheel. So the whole car gyrates like this, rink, 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 going around like I'm driving a old Honda three-wheeler, with a straight axle. I really hate that. That just added to the whole problems of steering the car. If the differential is telling the car to go straight and I'm telling it to go right, and I'm in a 60-mile-an-hour corner, and then I'm battling those two forces, it could make the steering a lot more challenging. Okay, the differential is also noisy on deacceleration. Now, okay, I'm going to do I won't do a whole video on this, but I'm going to include the teardown of the differential. I took it out of the car and put my 3.0s back in, and just to get rid of the True Track. And also, if I'm solving the steering problems, I don't want the differential to be exacerbating them. Those are the two things about this trip that just really made it a challenge. It wasn't really scary, but it was a very, you had to be on your toes driving. That being said, even having to work at driving like that, the car was so comfortable to drive. It just fits me so well. That part of it, when the car was out on the straight and I was up on top of the high chaparral there on the straight stretches of road, running into Warm Springs, oh my gosh, it was just a pleasure to drive. 2 fingers on the wheel, not too much correcting. Naturally, because I'm not throwing it into the corners, so everything is at its best. In future videos, of course, I'll be, as I'm dialing in the car and getting all the little handling issues taken care of, and I do something about the differential, yes, I still want 350 gears in the back, even though when I get the 3.0s in there, now it's really like the old car, except for overdrive is even more over. I think 65 miles an hour in overdrive was like 1750 RPM. And I'm going larger tires. Oh yeah, that's the last thing under the bad. The tires really suck. Oh my gosh, those 40-year-old tires or 30-year-old tires, whatever they are so bad. And you saw in the video where I tried on my brother's 17 by 7s. I think those are US Mags Ramblers with the 225 45 R17s. Almost fit in the back, but almost fit in the front. There's just, when you turn, that leading edge wants to get into the right of the tip of the fender down there at the bottom of the wheel opening. So I ordered some 215 45 17s that, what are they? Continental Extreme Contacts. What I'd really like to have is torque thrust, but they don't make the standard torque thrust in a 17. So the US Mags has one that looks just like torque thrust, and guess what? You can't get those either. At the very least 6 weeks before I get the wheels. We'll see. I'll keep you posted. How about that? Anyway, that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed this first drive of Betsy. It was really fun and not fun all at the same time. Okay. Thanks for watching Don's Manufactory. I will catch you later.